Cool. So my name is Gabriel Carrera. I've been in the business for like 3 years, but successfully only since like January. I had like a rough start getting into the business, a lot of failed escrows for whatever reasons, buyers backing out, a lot of not knowing that led me to fail. But through those failures, I definitely learned a lot, and now I've been doing it consistently since January, right? So yeah, welcome to the workshop, guys. Here we're going to talk about wholesaling. For people who don't know about wholesaling, that's what we do. I'm not a licensed agent. I'm just an investor. So basically, I'm not a licensed agent. I'm just an investor. So I basically talk to homeowners off market and try to buy the property at a discounted price. So I'll go ahead and typically sell it to an investor who's going to go ahead and flip it, or somebody who just wants to buy and hold it retail guy. But typically the deals that I find are distressed because they have some sort of motivation. They need to sell fast, or they have a timeline, or the condition is messed up and they just don't want to be dealing with that hassle, right? So yeah, basically that's kind of what we're going to go over today. What it takes to get a deal, the marketing strategies, the sales strategies, the mindset, and be able to answer any questions at the end after this. So yeah. So just start off here. About me, I got a full paid scholarship to Madison when I graduated from high school, and I was in there for like biomedical engineering, but I was not used to the weather out there, very cold, and I was born here in SoCal, so that just took a toll on me. I ended up realizing that I just don't like staying in the lab all day. I like interacting with people, so from there on out, I just actually ended up launching a marketing agency out there while I was in Madison with one of my good friends, and we were helping all types of clients, realtors, tourism agencies, and restaurants, a lot of restaurants really, because we were in the restaurant niche when we started. I dropped out of college at 18 to pursue my dreams of financial freedom. I've worked with 4 different real estate investment companies in 3 different states. So I've worked with some cousins that were doing a lot of fix and flipping out in Odessa, Midland area. They have their office in San Antonio, so I learned a lot working with them. And I ended up going to Vegas, where I was working with different high-level investors, such as Tyson de la Cruz. I was one of the main guys I was working with out there. And then from there on out, I came here and I worked with other developers doing tear downs and building condos and stuff like that. So I learned how they were getting these deals and how they were flowing easily to them. And this year I personally locked up $123,000 in gross assignments, plus $53,000 I'm closing this week myself. So in gross assignments, not all this came to me, because actually I had a partner I was working with initially, so we ended up splitting a lot of those deals. But so far, ever since I've gone solo, and this is what I'm hitting this week, so that's pretty cool. And then plus a land that I own out there in Lancaster. So there's nothing special about me except for the fact that I never let a failure stop me from getting to where I want to go. I've always had a bulletproof mindset, so I never thought that anything could stop me from achieving things, even if they're minor setbacks. And if you think about it as a failure that you can never achieve, then obviously whatever you believe in expands, right? So for me, that was one of the biggest hurdles that I had initially getting started in the business. Was I was doubting myself constantly, and I always doubted that this was the right business for me. And once I had that shift, when I started working with these higher level investors that were getting these deals easily, it was easy for me to see that the difference that they had compared to me was that they believed that they deserve the deals because they're giving out so much value to the world, and they're just going to manifest and attract. I'm a huge believer in manifesting and attract. The law of attraction, where whatever you put out there, it comes back to you. And a lot of the times when I was getting into the business, I was thinking, I might be, cutting at a price, and I just be counting my money before I'm actually going ahead and solving the problem with the seller, right? So that stopped me from getting a lot of deals when I got into the business. But once I got aligned with, what I was really doing, which was helping these people achieve their goals of selling their property either fast or selling it without them paying any commissions or closing costs, and me making it an easy transaction for them, that's when I was able to easily start ramping it up from there. So, hey guys, came in. So another thing is never losing hope. So I never lost hope. Like I said, I was always optimistic and always a student hungry to learn more. So even when I knew a lot of stuff, when I was been working in Texas, and I came work with this other company in Vegas. I knew they were doing different things I never learned about, so it was always cool to see how different markets approach the problems different ways, right? So people would say, hey, I'm just going to go straight to wholesaling. Other people say, hey, this is a good deal, fix and flip. Evaluating deals, I learned a lot through that, and I still to this day consider myself a student from whoever I'm learning from, and people have more experience than me. And never quitting, right? So a lot of times when we face some minor setbacks, we think, oh man, this probably isn't the right thing for me. I want something that's easier. But a book that I really like is Outwitting the Devil, which talks about how when you have a goal in mind and you have a specific purpose for yourself, even if your plan fails in the short term, you have to find another plan that allows you to achieve that purpose, right? So initially I was door knocking all the time. Now I don't door knock at all unless I have an actual appointment at the property. So I save my time, talk to as many people as I can on the phone, and we're going to go over that as well later today. So, to prime your mind, to make sure you're in the right state, this is a warm-up that I read to myself every single day in the morning that allows me to, believe in this law of attraction, allows me to manifest deals, and I feel like you can't be attracting positivity if you're not starting off with gratitude during your day, So gratitude is a key player for me, and the reason why I emphasize this is because before I started getting these deals consistently, I knew a lot about real estate. I knew too much. You can ask me a question, I would answer, okay, how does this mortgage work, or what's a reverse mortgage, or what does a short sale look like, or in this situation with an auction, how do you stop the auction? So I knew a lot of things, but I didn't really come from a place of, man, I'm grateful for this day, and I'm ready for opportunity. I was over here just thinking, man, I hope I get lucky, and I hope, the shotgun effect, one of these bullets gonna hit. But now it's we gotta be intentional about everything we do, and being grateful, that's another one key, I believe, that's helped me, I manifest more. So just so we can read over this pretty quick. This is just part of my warm up here, but this is what I read every day. If you guys want to read this with me, so we can, start out with a little gratitude here. So today is gonna be a great day. Whatever the weather is, it's beautiful in its own way. Today I will do more with my day than yesterday. There's only one way, and that is maximizing my time into the day. The other one is quitting. Don't be a quitter. I am grateful for life, having the opportunity to continue to exist in this beautiful world. Parents, brothers, cousins, grandparents, aunts, and uncles who support and believe in me. My faith in God, a bed to sleep in at night, food I'm able to purchase, food I'm able to make. My perspective, I'm privileged to be living in America in this time period, living in the land of opportunity, not having to endure what my parents went through. A healthy body, my negotiation skills, my selling skills, being a visionary, dreaming and believing I can achieve my wildest dreams, friends who believe and support me in my passions, my phone that allows me to communicate with the world quickly, being in my intelligence, being able to problem solve, my creativity, coming up with great ideas and executing on them small or large, being confident in what I do, my ability to fall hard emotionally, physically, in business, learn, get up, and keep going. So, a lot of people, when I first got into business, I noticed a lot of these people I was working with were always preaching these types of things, and I always thought to myself, man, just some kumbaya shit that really has no effect. But in reality, we're just so used to negativity throughout the day. Everybody's like, oh man, I had a long day, I'm so tired, man. I can't wait to just go home and relax. And if you don't start, all that is accepted normally, but when people are more grateful, that's something that a lot of people sometimes are weirded out by because they don't hear it so often, but it's something that we have to prime our mind. Whatever we hear, it's the way we program our mind. So it's something I really value here. So start off here, I'm gonna go over the steps of the wholesaling, what wholesaling looks like, what the business is about, and everything like that. So just here to start off, the first step of getting deals consistently, and this is through cold calling. Most of what I'm gonna go through is through cold calling, because that's my main lead source. Every day I'm cold calling. Yeah, sure.
Is there any way that we can get a copy of your app?
Yeah, for sure. Is there everything? Probably yeah, I'll send you guys a copy. Sure. Cool. So yeah, steps of the wholesaling. So just generally, before we kind of get into all these steps, just to explain what wholesaling is. Wholesaling is connecting directly with a homeowner on a property that's typically off market, negotiating terms with the homeowner, and locking it up for a certain price, and then selling that contract out for a certain price, and everything goes through escrow. So basically the way I get paid is through assignment fees, right? So I lock up a deal for, let's say, $345, sell it to a flipper at $390. The flipper, I get the signed contract with them, they put $390 into escrow, escrow pays me a check for $45,000, and they take care of the property and do the rest. And the price that gets reported is the $345 that I locked it up for, right? So that's basically what wholesaling is. Now, to get a deal, it obviously requires like a lot of steps, right? So the first step to get a deal is data gathering. One of my favorite portals, and the one I've used to get all the deals that I've gotten, has been PropStream, which is very effective to target different areas on a map based on equity, based on years owned, based on any leads they may have. And from there, you basically generate a list of your target audience. So once you have a list of your target audience, you go ahead and kind of skip the step here, but another one is skip tracing, right? Skip tracing, getting all the numbers for every single address that you are able to download. So for me, I use a software called Lead Sherpa, which cost me 12 cents a lead to skip trace, but it's highly effective. It's way better data than most other data software that I've used. I hear a lot of people talking about 3 cents, skip tracing, and everything like that, and I've used some of those before, but for me, the 12 cents has been effective, but unless I find an alternative, then I'll let you guys know. But for now, I'm using Lead Sherpa to this day to skip trace my leads. From there on, it's about marketing. So cold calling, texting, and mailers. Texting, I've worked on that with other clients before, other real estate companies that I was working at. They send a bunch of text blasts, one by one. So you just basically submit it onto Lead Sherpa. It actually allows you to make templates for that and just send them one by one based on your skip trace data. And cold calling, I use, I'm sure you guys have heard of Mojo before, right? So Mojo is like a very common one. So that's my dialer that I use, and it allows me to dial 3 people at a time. So I'm able to talk to a lot of people throughout the day, and just basically generate those leads up front. So that's what we call cold calling, right? Just cold leads, no one that says they're interested yet, just generating that first step. The second thing is, once we find somebody who's interested, hey, would you consider an offer? Yeah, I consider an offer, and I am interested, and we find, for me, what I use is if they have at least 2 to 3 of the 5 pillars, then we call them a warm lead that we want to follow up with, right? So we'll go over the 5 pillars later on the presentation, but the 5 pillars are about motivation, one being condition, one being their timeline, one being what's next, another one being their motivation, and the last one being the price, right? So the reason why the price is last is because if they have any one of those motivations, then that means the price is always negotiable, right? So lead management is key because that's where we follow up with the lead consistently, and really the sale is done on the follow-up, right? The chance that you're going to talk to somebody off a cold lead and they're going to be like, yeah, I'm interested, yeah, come sign right now, and like I'm ready to roll, it's not that likely. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but out of the deals I've gotten, I've only gotten like 1 deal like that where they were ready to roll and it was just a piece of land they're not emotionally attached to. So but that doesn't really happen. It's very, very rare, but you can't bet on that, right? So the sell is really done on the lead management, which is following up with the lead consistently. If they tell me, typically they tell me, oh yeah, Gabriel, I want to sell after New Year's, and get that stuff done, call me then. I'm not just going to wait for them to, after New Year's to call them, I'm going to say, okay, sure, that sounds great, but how about this? Let me go ahead and call you every other week or so, just so we can be checking in. So whenever you are ready to make that decision, you can consider us to help you out in one way or another, right? So a lot of people think when they're getting into this business that, okay, you have to point them in one direction, which is wholesaling, but that's not the business. The business is about helping people out with whatever the best objective is for them, whatever their best, whatever they're looking for. So, what I tell homeowners all the time is our goal is to help homeowners sell their property easily, either with a no commission, no closing costs, as is instant offer, or with our partner broker on the market. So I give them 2 options, and based on there, we start to find out on my qualification questions to see what their best option is, right? So I like to say the example of a doctor, and somebody saying, hey, my back's hurting, I think I need some surgery, and let's say the doctor's gonna make $20,000 in the surgery, right? Just throw a number out there. I don't know how much it actually is, but just throw a number out there. It's gonna be $20,000 surgery, and they're gonna make $10 off, some painkillers, right? So, just because the surgery is going to be the one that's, paying, that you're going to make the most money off, doesn't mean that's the best decision for them. You have to ask them, hey, does it hurt here? Does it hurt there? Let's get you an x-ray machine. Let's make sure everything is good so that this surgery is actually the best solution for you, right? So that same way you're asking these questions and you're finding out more about the seller is the same way that, we ask the questions to find out more about, whether they're looking to do a fast sale with no commissions, no closing costs, no repairs, or whether they're willing to wait it out, get some offers in the market, and go more the traditional route. So that's basically the way I really look at it. From there on out, acquisitions is locking up the deal. So typically with bigger wholesale companies, there's different steps for there's different positions for every part of this chain. There's somebody who just does the data gathering and the skip tracing. Somebody else who does like a lot of just the cold calling all day. Somebody else follows up with the leads every day. There's somebody else who's actually locking up the deal. Once they have the 5 pillars and they're ready to roll, and you have like a good idea of what the seller situation is, then they go in and basically go for the closing the deal. Whatever way it is, if it's a listing or a wholesale. And then dispositions is when it's obviously wholesaling. You find the contract, you lock up the contract at a certain price. Typically, traditionally, when you do wholesaling, once you've locked up that contract at a certain price, say you locked up the contract at $345, you have to find a buyer that's willing to pay you more than that for them to take on the contract and take on the project, essentially. So, when I got started in the business, this is the way I was doing things, and it wasn't working out for me too well because there's a difference between wholesaling and reverse wholesaling, and I prefer doing reverse wholesaling where I actually know my buyer before I lock it up, where I know I at least have a handful of buyers who are interested in this before I lock it up. Because if I end up locking up the contract and just blasting it out to people, this has happened to me in the past where I blasted to a huge buyers list. They come knocking on the seller's door, hey, I can pay you a lot more than what this other guy got it for yesterday or whatever, and things can start getting messy there. So nowadays, obviously you can record the contract on the property and save your equitable rights in the property, but that's not the best avenue to go to. I feel like it's better to just make it easy, not have to go through those hassles, and the way I avoid that is having people that I trust that are ready to buy the property right when I lock it up, right? And then the next part is transaction coordinating, making sure all the paperwork, I'm sure you guys saw all that boring stuff, and then you go ahead and collect the check there. So let's see. So what makes a good wholesale deal? Somebody who's looking for a fast sale. They don't want to wait for a lot of offers. They don't want to wait for a lot of walkthroughs. Sometimes they may be embarrassed with the property, or sometimes they just don't have the time. They don't want to do any upgrades. They want to sell it as is. They don't want to be dealing with, bringing contractors in and fix some stuff that, they don't know how much it's going to cost, or they don't want to be dealing with the stress of that. They don't want to be paying any commissions, and they say, hey, I just want to tell me the price right now, because, as we know, if you're in the agent side of things, you lock up a property at a certain price, and the seller doesn't really know how much you're going to net until you get the net sheet at the end, right? So for us, we tell them straight up, hey, this is how much you're going to net. The only thing you're going to pay is the seller's transfer tax, and everything else we cover. So, basically they like that because they like an upfront approach. They don't like to be dealing back and forth, not knowing how much you're going to net, and that way you're able to negotiate better on price, when you talk to them about, what you're locking it up for, and you're able to justify that price easier. And those showings and walkthrough, that's a very common one. A lot of people will tell me, oh, I just don't want to have a lot of people walk into my house. I just want you to buy it and you take care of it because I know it's a mess. I don't want my neighbors to see it, or whatever the reason may be. And an easy sell. So, like I said, they don't want to be waiting for stuff down the line, or buyers saying, hey, I'll buy at this property at this price, but I need you to fix out the carpet, or I need you to do this, and they just don't want to be dealing with that, right? So it's an easy sell. Basically, what we tell them it is, that's what it is, and we're able to sell it for a fee on top of that. So cold calling. So here is my cold calling script. This is the script that I use when I'm cold calling homeowners. It's very simple, very straightforward. Hey there, is this Brady?
Oh, you want me to answer? Yes.
Yes. Hey Brady, this is Gabriel. I'm just calling about a property I believe you own on Sesame Street here in Southgate. Is now a bad time?
No, I'm okay. What's up?
Oh, okay, great. Well, look, I was calling, this is for, realtors here. I'm not a realtor, so I don't say this, but I just edited this for you guys, right? So I'm a local realtor. I work with a local group of investors, calling to see if you would consider an offer on your property.
No.
No, gotcha. Most people I speak with tell me they haven't put too much thought into it, but they say that everything's for sale for the right price. Do you have a price in mind?
No, but you could throw me an offer.
Okay, great. So, boom, then we begin the qualification process, right? So, just to let you guys know, the qualification process is where we find out the 5 pillars, and we ask in a specific way to get a better idea of the property, right? So, as I said, 5 pillars are the condition, their motivation, what's next, what else? Their timeline, and price, right? So, price is always the last one, and that's what we're going to go over next, right? So, here, let's say if he was
That was
interested.
only 4.
Really? Condition, timeline, motivation, what's next, and price. Yeah. Cool. Feel free to pause now to check out my cold calling script intro. So here are the 5 pillars broken down. When was the last time you made any renovations to the kitchen, bathroom, floor, roof? What specifically did you upgrade in these renovations? So if we come into an agreement on price, how soon would you be looking to sell? Now I see here on public records that you've owned the property since 1999. Is there any particular reason why you might be considering selling? Is there any other reason for selling besides the offer? Now if we were to agree on price, what's next? Do you have a price in mind? Do you at least have a range you're looking to get? Now back to the seminar. Unless they tell me straight up, do not call me ever again. You're so annoying. Never call me again. They have to say never call me again, and don't call me ever again for me not to call them again. Because a lot of times they're just like, fuck you, like piece of shit, you're so annoying, blah, blah. You get all this negativity, right? So like when they say all those things, like, I don't take it too hard. I'm like, all right, look, sounds like you're having a bad day. I'll try to reach you another time. Because they're going through stress, right? A lot of people going that we wholesale are distressed properties, so they're behind on their payments, or their property is messed up, and they're looking at it and they're like, man, how am I living here? So like, everybody's going through. It's a very emotional process selling your property. I'm sure you guys are fully aware of that. Like on my system, I have like a lot of people that I've been texting and texting and texting. They're still not getting back to me, but I'm not giving up, unless they tell me not to talk to them ever again. So like this guy I've been following up with for like 3 months, no answers, you see. But we got on a call like 2 weeks ago, and I know he's still considering it. But you have to understand, like everybody you're hitting up, like on these systems, a lot of these people are getting hit up by other realtors, a lot of other investors, a lot of other wholesalers. So like you can't be mad at that. You just gotta be, hey, how are we gonna help you out? And yeah.
So basically, let's say you had like a hot lead, right? And they're like, yeah, we want to sell, price wise, they're not giving you, I guess they gave you a price, let's say it's kind of like comp price, right? Kind of like market value. Do you negotiate right there on the phone with them, like the price, or like do you go to the house, kind of do a walkthrough, and then kind of negotiate? I mean, how's that process?
Well, yeah, so when they tell me like, all right, the property needs this and that, and I'm looking for market value, I'm like, okay, cool, look, I think you can get that. Now what's stopping you from remodeling the entire house and, being able to put it on the market and waiting it out? And a lot of times it's, hey, I don't have the money, or I don't have the time. Those are the biggest issues. So before, I used to go to appointments whenever they'd be talking to my cold callers, because I've hired some cold callers in Panama before, $3 an hour, very affordable. And like I get a lead coming in and I'm like, oh man, this price is a slam dunk deal. And this lady sounds like she's ready to get something done. And I'm like, all right, I call her up. Oh yeah, I want to get something done in the next few months or something. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, let's go and check it out right now. So we go and we drive the whole day to Reno Valley, or drive to Hamden, or drive to Joshua Tree, or drive to wherever, Inglewood. And then we do door knocking and be thinking we're just gonna like go in there and sign a contract. But that's not the way the business works. Honestly, I've wasted a lot of my time doing that. Because I thought, okay, it's easier to sell people in person once they get to know you and everything, but you have to make sure they're fully qualified for it to be worth my time. Every single time I'm talking to people, my line is ABQ, always be qualified. We're always qualifying, find out where they're at, find out if anything's changed, their plans, and it's about to follow them. That's essential. So the goal is to build a rapport with sellers while qualifying through our professionalism. So, as much as we can talk about, his kids and everything, if I start talking about his kids for the next hour or so, he's gonna be like, yo, Gabriel, didn't you call me about the house? And I lost control of the conversation, right? So, we want to be able to build that rapport while we're also hitting all their questions. So there's 2 avenues that people typically go when they're getting started in the business or getting started cold calling. They say, hey, I'm just gonna go for I'm gonna hit all the questions, and like when they're talking to people, they just go from one question to the next question to the next one, to the next question. It sounds very robotic. So when he's telling me, oh, I want to go see my kids, go on to the next question. Okay, now if we come to the agreement on price, it's like, yo, no, he wants to go see his kids. Like, why? Like, what was the last time we saw him? We dive deep into that, right? So we want to be able to build rapport with them while we're also going back and leading it back to the next question, right? So Jordan Belfort draws like a straight line. I'm sure some of you guys have seen like the sale. So it's like from point A to point Z. And if you just are going straight on the line, what you're doing is you're hitting all the qualification questions, but you're not building any rapport with the seller. And the seller's like, all right, this is just like an interview, or this is just like a questionnaire, and it's not really like a conversation, right? But you have to stay in the universe of things, and like you have to be able to build rapport with them while you're qualifying them. So you hit them with a question and they give you some information, dive deep into that, and then you continue to build rapport with them while you continue to take it back to the next qualification, right? So people want to work with professionals, and that's a fact. Help homeowners do what's best for them based on qualifying questions. So I qualify them before I send them out to agents and stuff, even if I know they're asking for market value, because who knows, sometimes they're just like willing to even get terms, right? If they get creative terms, you know, the property makes sense, the numbers make sense for how much you're gonna rent it for, how much your payment is, why not, right? And then help homeowners with the sell their home one way or another. So that's really our goal. So when I got started in the business, I was thinking to myself, oh man, how am I gonna come and like get myself my $50,000 and then help them sell their house? Like, you know, that way is looking at it backwards. You have to be thinking about it, hey, what's the seller dealing with? What are the problems they're facing? And with all that information, like, how can I help them and actually serve them in a way? So in terms of wholesaling, let's say this building costs $1 million and it's worth $1 million in the market, right? Now, I can't come and tell her, hey, I'll pay $1 million for the property, because how am I gonna make a deal out of it? I can't guarantee I can make that sell, but I can guarantee I can pay her $750 because I know I can find somebody for $800,000, right? So that's what we try to do. We try to just, you know, look at it backwards, see what they're facing, what their numbers are, and you know, if our numbers aren't too far apart, we ask them that many times. So they tell me, hey, I'm looking for 390. Oh, okay, gotcha. So you know, once they give me everything, all the numbers, and the number makes sense because of the repairs, and I try to dive deep into the pain of why not they're not fixing it, and I find their lowest number, I'm like, all right, look, just to let you know, we're closer to 300, 350, and stay quiet. Whoever talks first loses, right? So like, and then they're just like, oh, well, I think that might be a little too low. Okay, do you think we're too far apart? I'll ask them that. That's one of my main questions when I'm negotiating price too. So I just let them, I ask them the questions and let them, you know, get back to me. So I have been able to get deals where they're asking for 450 and I'm down to 345 because of that. Yeah.
Do you wait to see the property to make their like actual offer?
Nah, I mean, unless like they're just like they when they bought it, they're more comfortable going that way, and they're like, yeah, I want you to see it in person. Unless they say something like that, then I'm like, all right, cool. But if they say they're gonna agree to everything, boom, we'll lock it up on the phone. It saves the time, saves the trip.
You don't have any like unexpected like
well, if there is, I'll tell them, hey man, you didn't tell me about this. Going like, what's going on? And they're like, oh yeah, you know, I didn't think it was a major issue. Really? Like, how much do you think it's gonna be repaired? And then you can, you know, renegotiate that. But typically, every deal I've gotten has been pretty good. I had a deal in a duplex in Barstow, and there was like some support beam that was like all messed up in the garage, and well, we had got it at such a good price. I'm like, yo, like that's not gonna be an issue. Like, the price makes sense. We got it for $95,000 right now. It's worth on the market $210,000. They put in like $10,000 worth of work into it, and each unit, it was vacant too, and it was renting for like the market rent there's $1,000 a unit. So it was like a really good deal, you know. So I was like, I'm not gonna budge them for that, especially because I got it for 95. They owed like 92 on their mortgage, so like, you know, there's not really much space to negotiate. Obviously, it was a really good deal, obviously. So yeah, I try to negotiate. I always, you know, I'm not very optimistic on the ARV, and what the after repair value is when I'm talking to them. I always keep it very conservative, just so whenever issues pop up like that, you know, they want to. First, I try to get their best price, and once I get their best price, I tell them, you know, where we're at. Once I give them my offer, it's based on, you know, I know that this is, you know, like for example, I got a property in Watts for $345, and ARV was $500. So I was like, even if the property needs a full rehab, I mean, it's still gonna be, numbers are still gonna make sense, be able to make a good spread. And you know, the flipper bought it for $390, put in $40,000 and sold it for $5.
So for that one, like, what was the seller at in terms of price? Like,
they were like at $450.
okay, and then you got it down at $345?
Yeah,
Dang.
but that's because like I'm like, okay, look, you know, I know Zillow's telling you something, but Zillow's, you know, trying to always manipulate the market, bring it up in price, and give you higher estimates. And you know, Zillow's price is based on a top of the line property. So I really dive deep into the pain of like, well, why don't you fix it up? And they're like, yeah, I want to fix it up for this reason or that reason. I don't have the money, or I don't have the time, or I'd rather go fix up a property than I'm gonna go live in. So once I find out all this information, then you know, I use that to like leverage the offer, right? So yeah, that was a very good negotiation based on their first asking price to what I got it. But you know, they realized that like, yeah, the property's gonna need a lot of work, and you know, they wanted a fast sell. there's no commissions or no closing costs involved. So, you know, basically we start off with going out, okay, the 450 minus commissions and everything, you're gonna end up with, you know, we drop it at a certain price, and that price is still too tight. So with that being said, you know, it's easier to negotiate price when you say, hey, you know, the commissions are like 6%, the 2% of closing costs you're gonna have to pay, and they start adding up the fees, and they're like, oh man, so I'm not really gonna get that price, and then, yeah, and then plus, are you even gonna get the 450, or do you want to just waiting on the market? Like, you know, if you put it at a price that's too high, especially if the property needs a lot of work, I mean, you're gonna have to wait for some random buyer to come in and be able to give you that price, right? And they're just thinking in the back of their mind, like, oh man, like, how much longer can I be living in this property in these conditions or whatever it is, right?
So for that watch one, so it looks like $100,000 spread, right, for the investor?
Yeah,
So
they actually sold it for $550.
Thank you.
So yeah, let's finish up here. Last thing, takeaways. Follow up is key. That's one of the most important things. 90% of the deals I've gotten have been through like massive follow-ups, and like sometimes people tell me, yeah, I'm not interested in doing anything right now, I'll call you back, or I'll call you later. And I'm like, oh man, what's going on? And then because I've planted that seed, I let them know, hey, our goal is to help homeowners of the property easily, either with a no commission, no closing costs, and as is instant offer, or with our partner broker on the market. People love that because I'm not pointing them in one direction or another. I'm not saying, hey, look, we're gonna get you the listing, get you the best price, and like we'll do this. Or I'm not telling them like, hey, like I'll just pay you cash and that's it. Like I'm giving them options, right? So like I'm not an agent. I never tell them I'm an agent. I never tell them I'm a broker or anything like that. But I tell them, hey, if it's not a good fit for our purchase and our company, we connect you with our partner broker. Before, like I thought that I have to be in person to get a good deal, but that's just a limiting belief, you know. Like, but any appointment I've gone to, and like that Barca deal, like I never saw the property before I locked it up. I locked up 2 in Harupa Valley without even seeing the property, you know. But it's just why, because I built the trust, built the rapport, and like, you know, I really dove into the problems, and I think a lot of times it's those things are can be stopping you, and just I always give them a range. So whenever I give them a price, I never give them a specific number, I give them a huge range. Like, it's a pretty big range. Sometimes like $500,000 homes, I give them like a $50,000, $60,000 range. And like, it just depends. I'm not sure until I see it, right? So once I see it, it's like, you know, they just want to get the price out of you, right? So it's like, if you give them your price, you give them all the only thing they wanted from this whole conversation, they can go shop your price around to other buyers, right? But if you just, you know, try to give them a range and you let them know, hey, I mean, until I see it, and I can give you the final number, do you think we're too far apart? Nah, okay, that means your range is something that they would consider, or something close to that, you know?
Did all the deals you closed fit all 5 of the criteria?
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, not necessarily, because a lot of land deals I've gotten, they don't have an issue with condition, right? But yeah, they all had some sort of motivation, for sure. And really, like the timeline, the what's next, the condition, and they're all motivations, really, you know. But motivation is another category to see if there's any other special motivations, right? But yeah, they've all had some sort of motivation. Yeah, thank you guys for coming.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
So how do we get, thank you,
Yeah.
how do we get all that information?
Yeah, I'll email it to you. You guys can, for me, I don't have any business cards, but you guys can add me on Instagram. That's my business card right there.
Thank you.